All right, I hope everyone's doing well today. Going live just for several minutes today to talk to you about the way you can build self-confidence and become an excellent speaker. There's a relationship that most people see between self-confidence and speaking well. It's not for everyone, but many people notice that when they feel more confident, they tend to speak better. Once again, this isn't true for everyone. There are some people who are extremely confident and they still struggle with their speech. But many people will notice that they have some days where they feel more relaxed and they feel more confident and their speech is smoother, their speech is better. So there is a relationship, and today we're going to talk about one area right here which has to do with self-confidence. So let's just basically define what self-confidence is in this context. When you feel confident, you feel as though you can do it, right? You know that you can do it. So there's a slight difference, but it's very similar between feeling confident and being confident. So sometimes we feel confident and sometimes we don't, right? But when you are confident, that is, when you are being confident, it doesn't really depend on how you feel because you know that you're able to do it. So then the question is, how do we get to the place where we know we're able to do something, where we are being confident, we are confident? Now, there's nothing wrong with feeling confident. There's nothing wrong with doing things to generate the feeling of confidence. In fact, as you grow towards being more confident, you will have to generate the feeling, right? You have to feel confident. But eventually, you don't really have to do that. I can tell you now that in most situations, if I go to speak or if I'm in a meeting or something, I'm going to be confident. I don't have to generate feelings or do anything to generate feelings. I am confident in my ability to speak well. Now, there are some situations that I might find myself where I might feel a little anxious or I might feel nervous, but that has nothing to do with my confidence, right? My knowing that I can handle myself in that situation. So that's what we're going to talk about today and how we can get you there. I'm going to share with you basically 3 keys that will help you build the foundation that's going to support the confidence that you and I are going to talk about today. Okay, three keys that you want to look at in building your confidence, right? So most people say building confidence, build more confidence. Well, you got to have a strong foundation. So these 3 keys are the foundation for building this kind of confidence. So let's define a little bit more about what confidence is. When we look at the word confidence, confide, right? That's one of the words in there. When you confide in someone, you what? And it starts with a T, doesn't it? When you confide in someone, you trust them. So a part of the definition of confidence is trust. Well, there's another word that's related to this, and that is belief, right? So when you trust someone, you also believe them. You believe them or you believe in them. So let's just say that you have a child and you ask a family member to pick up that child. Okay, so the person says, yes, I'll do it. I'll be there at 5 o'clock to pick up the child. So you're trusting that person. You're trusting that person with your child. Why are you trusting them? You're trusting them probably because you have some history with them, or they've demonstrated in one way or another that they are capable, that they're willing and capable and able to do what they say they're going to do. Otherwise, you wouldn't trust them, right? You wouldn't trust them. You wouldn't believe them. You wouldn't believe them if they said they were going to do something and they didn't do it and they did that consistently, right? So if they said they were going to pick up your child, or if they said they were going to do something else and they consistently didn't do it, then you probably wouldn't believe them and you probably wouldn't trust them. And so when you trust them and you believe them, you also have what? Confidence in them. You have confidence in them that they are going to do what they say they're going to do. Okay? So this is the same thing when it comes to our having self-confidence. How do we have self-confidence? We have self-confidence when we believe, when we have belief, when we trust that we're actually going to do, that we're going to be able to do what we say we want to do. That is, if you have a goal, if you have an intention, if you say, I'm going to do this, if you say, I'm going to try to do this, right? Then you build self-confidence, you build self-trust, you build self-belief when you know that you're going to do it. Another related word to this, believe it or not, is faith, right? When you have faith in someone, if you have faith in God, if you have faith in a person, then you trust them, you believe them, you have confidence in them. So you have faith that you're going to at least try to do what you said. Now let's talk about that. And let's talk about how this all works out, and then I'll give you the 3 keys. So when you're looking at building self-confidence, what we're saying is that you need to at least try to do what you said you were going to do. So if you are going to improve your speech, you need to try to do that. Now, why am I using the word try? Because just because you set a goal to become a smoother speaker, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to set a goal to stop stuttering. That's a negative goal. You want to set a goal to become an excellent speaker, to become a smooth speaker, clear speaker, calm speaker, confident speaker, engaging speaker, powerful, authoritative, right? All these words, amazing, right? Superior. So those are all positive goals, something that you can work towards, something that you can define, something that you can see. You don't want to set a goal to stop stuttering. It's a very, very bad goal. You probably won't reach it. But the key is that if you're trying to do it, you'll build confidence. Now here's the thing with trying. Some people say, well, I tried to do it. I'm not talking about that kind of trying. I'm talking about when you try to do something, but you know that there are 3 other things present. And these are the keys. We're going to talk about the 3 keys. 3 keys. Number 1 is consistency. Number 2 is systematic. We'll break that down. And number 3 is substantial. And I'll talk about what substantial change. So let's explain this. When you are working towards becoming an excellent speaker, it's someone who's smooth, someone who's clear, someone who's calm, right? And when I say calm, I don't mean boring, but someone who's calm and someone who's confident, then you will feel more confident when you know that you're doing something consistent, when you're doing something consistent. So one of the challenges that probably we all have in some areas is we're inconsistent, right? We get distracted by different things, and so we're not as consistent in moving towards a goal and achieving a goal. So when we're inconsistent, our confidence does what? It goes up and down, up and down. Many people who I know, who I see, get inconsistent progress, and they are inconsistent in their practice, right? Inconsistent. So they say that they're trying, but their trying is inconsistent. So therefore, their confidence wavers, goes up and down, okay? So we want to be consistent. When you know that you're consistently doing something, like if you have a goal to get more fit, to lose weight, to gain weight, whatever, and you know that you're consistently working out, you're consistently following a diet or whatever it is, you feel better about yourself. So not only does your confidence go up, but your esteem goes up. You feel better about yourself and you feel more confident. You become more confident, right? So consistency is number 1. Number 2 is it should be systematic, but we're not just talking about regular old systematic. We're talking about something that is, I'm going to move this up here, that is scientifically based, right? Scientifically based system. That it's a scientifically based system. Now, why is that important? In my own experience, when I understood some 25 years ago, when I understood that I could change my patterns of thinking that sat in my subconscious mind. So I saw my subconscious mind, and I understood this, I learned this from Brian Tracy, that my subconscious mind was almost like a hard drive, or like back then we used to use audio cassettes, believe it or not. We used to use audio cassettes. You can say a disk drive, a hard drive, MP3, whatever you want to say, but it held data, information, memories, right? My beliefs. And what I learned is that I could reprogram that. I could record over it. I could change it. I could literally hear and feel myself sometimes saying, you're going to get stuck. You're going to get something. It was always there. I didn't even have to say it or think it purposely or consciously. I just felt it like, oh, you're going to get stuck. Now, sometimes I'd say it, right? Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. So what I learned is that I can change that. I can't change it instantly necessarily, but I can change it over time by simply telling myself something different, telling myself what I want to think, what I want to believe, what I want to feel, as opposed to allowing myself to continue to think and feel what I have been feeling. Those thoughts, those beliefs that were sitting in my subconscious or my unconscious mind. I could reprogram that. Okay, this is very, very important, and it's magnificent. It's fantastic, right? Because when I learned that, I understood that, oh, I can do something about this, at least in the long term, right? You get some short-term results, but mostly it's long-term. By reprogramming my subconscious mind, I could change the way I felt and therefore the way that I performed, the way that I spoke. So this gave me confidence. So I was confident in what I was doing, so I kept doing it. Well, we've come a long way since just talking about the the subconscious mind, which is absolutely there, and it's absolutely true. But we can look at neuroscience, we can look at our brains, and we can look at the fact that we have patterns of thinking and patterns of speech that are represented by those neurological pathways, by those connections. And we can say that, for the most part, we can change our behaviors, we can change the way we speak, we can change the way we think, we can change the way we feel by performing certain actions, certain thoughts over and over and over again. We can change those patterns of thinking and speaking and behaving and so forth. So this is science, right? It's scientifically based. And because you know it's scientifically based, you can feel more what? Confident that it'll work. You won't feel like you're wasting your time doing this tip and this trick and this technique or this strategy. And I give techniques and strategies all the time, but when you know that you're popping around, you're jumping around, you're trying this because you're trying to get the fastest results, the cheapest and the easiest, then your confidence kind of wavers. But when you know you're in a system that's going to get you where you want and that it's scientifically based, you have more confidence, right? So therefore you'll stick with it. Now, so consistency is number one. The second one is that it needs to be systematic, but it needs to be scientifically based and systematic. It needs to be a scientifically based system to boost and maintain and even increase your confidence. And the third one is that you need to be doing something that's going to give you a substantial change. So if you're doing something and you're not immersed in it and you're not really seeing changes, then your what goes down? Your confidence goes down. I'm doing something, but I'm not really seeing changes. Then our confidence goes down. Now here's the thing. We have to understand that when we initially try to do something, we may see no changes or we may see very small incremental changes. But that's normal. Once we understand that's normal, we set realistic expectations. We understand this is normal, so that's cool, right? Okay. But we know, we're confident, we have faith, we believe, we trust the process because it's scientifically based, it's worked for other people. We're being consistent, we're not being inconsistent, because then our confidence goes down and then that begins to impact our speech. So we're consistent, we're systematic, and we're doing something that's going to produce substantial change. Now let's talk just a little bit more about what we mean by substantial change. We're looking for transformation of your speech, not just little small changes that are technique or tip driven. So some people can take just one technique. Well, let's talk about just maintaining airflow, or let's talk about elongating your words, or let's use some other tip or technique to help our speech, and it may very well help. The Pro 90D speech system, the Pro 90D smooth speech system, is about complete transformation. What do I mean when I say complete transformation? We're really talking about you no longer thinking about yourself or seeing yourself as a person who stutters. That's a big difference. So you can have someone who's speaking well, who's speaking relatively smoothly, but they still see themselves as a person who stutters. So therefore, they are impacted much more when they have disfluencies, and they will. We all do. I do. Right? So they're impacted. Their recovery is longer. It's much more difficult. They're up and down sometimes. There are certain situations where they're not confident because they're afraid they might start, even though they may speak well some of the time or most of the time. But when you've transformed what we call your speech or speaking identity, it's worlds different, right? Even though you might have the same disfluencies, the same number, even the same kinds of disfluencies as someone else, but your confidence is different. The way you see yourself is different. The way you feel about yourself is different. You recover much quickly when you get stuck. When I get stuck, boom, just, okay. I might analyze it for the sake of my clients. In fact, the fact is I probably get a little more stuck now because I'm constantly thinking about stuttering. I'm watching people's, I'm talking about. So it's definitely something that's a part of my life, but I've developed a certain level of resistance to it now. But it definitely, years ago when I first started coaching, it impacted me. It pulled my speech down a little. If I were not doing this and I were doing something else, I'd have far less disfluencies, wouldn't even be thinking about stuttering. Why? Because I've made a complete speech identity transformation. I no longer see myself as a person who stutters. Yet, I still have disfluencies, just like everyone else, okay? So, wouldn't you rather be the kind of person who just, you don't even think of yourself as stuttering. You don't think about stuttering. Yeah, you may get stuck here and there, you may have, but it's like a bump in the road. It's what I call my bump in the road approach, right? You don't even think about it. So, okay, I just got stuck, so, and you just keep speaking smoothly. Well, in order for that to happen, you need to be doing something that creates substantial change to the way that you see yourself, the way that you think about yourself, and to your speech. And that's what the Pro 90D Smooth Speech and Presentation System does, right? You'll hear me call it Pro 90D Speech System, Pro 90D Smooth Speech, Pro 90D Smooth Speech and Presentation, all the same thing. That's what the system does, is it helps you make substantial change to not only the way that you speak, but how you feel about yourself, okay? Isn't that what you really want? So, what I want to do is invite you to watch this video so that you can have a better understanding of the 3 keys to build self-confidence, right? You build confidence when you do what you say you're going to do. And you build confidence when you even try to do what you say that you want to do. But in that trying, you're doing something that's scientifically based and it's systematic and you're consistent with it and it's, you know it's going to make substantial change. So even though you're trying and you may not immediately or initially see the results, you know eventually you're going to get them, right? But if you're trying stuff and it's not necessarily systematic or it's not holistic, there's just one part here and it's one technique over there, then your confidence starts to waver. But in our system, it's holistic. We address the psychology and the physiology. We address the whole thing, the whole picture. It's both short-term and it's long-term. It's the fastest way to see long-term change. It's really designed for people who are professionals or professionally minded who don't just want to not stutter. Remember, you don't get extra points for not stuttering. You get extra points for being an excellent speaker, right? So we're looking for people who are like that and who want to take their speech to the next level, and you want to do it as quickly as possible, right? So if this is you, and if this sounds good to you, then I want you to go ahead and click the link in or around this video to get in touch with me, and let's have a conversation about how we can accelerate your progress and get you there as quickly as possible. Thank you so much. I hope that this was helpful. Look forward to seeing you the next time.